Hi there, join me in this video where I'm at Swallow Falls in Wales. So I've never been to this location before and therefore I don't know how extensive it is. So what I thought I'd do in this video is try some different techniques and be creative with the ideas that I use for taking photographs. So I might try some slow shutter speeds, I might put the big stopper on, I'll do some close-ups, some wide angles, and just try and be as creative as possible with the photographs that I'm taking, right down to the classic taking the photograph from the viewpoint where I am now. So join me this morning and I know that I'm really going to enjoy my photography. So places like this are set up with viewpoints so that visitors can get a really good view of the spectacular waterfalls. But at the moment it's only 7:25, so there's no visitors about, so it's a great time to visit. But it'd be a shame not to take advantage of this viewpoint. So I've set up the camera at the moment to get a kind of establishing shot which will show this great waterfall in front of me. So what I've done is I've just set it up so it includes the entire waterfall. I've made sure I've not clipped anything off either edge, and I've just taken what is really an establishing shot to get a good view of the whole thing. What I've tried next is I've zoomed into a particular area and I've tried at a slow shutter speed and a quicker shutter speed to freeze the water or make the water appear to streak and go milky. Now this is quite controversial in photography. Not everybody likes streaky water. Some people prefer to see water how it looks properly, but it can give a really interesting effect when you slow the shutter speed down. Now because it's quite bright at the moment, what I've had to do to make sure that I can slow the shutter speed down enough is close the aperture right down to about f22 and make sure that the ISO is as low as possible to give me a slow enough shutter speed to make the water drag out. But then equally, when I want to make the water still and freeze the action, I've had to do the opposite. So I've had to lift the ISO and open the aperture to make sure that I can get the shutter speed quick enough to freeze the water. So I'll put both of them on the screen now and let me know which one you prefer. So if you've never taken photographs of moving water before using different shutter speeds, then you might want to try what I've just done, which is to take a range of photographs using different shutter speeds. Then you can just decide which one you find most pleasing. So I started off at 1/500th of a second and set the other settings to give me the appropriate exposure. Then I reduced the shutter speed by a full stop. So I took it down to 1/250th of a second and kept doing that all the way down to a shutter speed of 1 full second. So if I step through the sequence of images that I took at different shutter speeds, you can see this image that was taken at 1/500th of a second, the water has become frozen and you can see all the individual droplets of water. Then I've doubled the shutter speed to 1/250th and there's not a lot of difference, but as I cycle through, doubling the shutter speed each time, you can see that the water starts to become a little bit more blurred. So at 1/60th, it's starting to get there. At 1/30th, it's really starting to drag out and we're not seeing those droplets anymore. The water is becoming stretched out. At 1/15th, it becomes even more so. And then 1/8th, I think is the ideal speed for me because you can still see some detail in the water, but you can also see it dragging out. But as we double again, it starts to really get stretched out to half a second and to a full second. At this point it starts to get very misty now, and now this might be the kind of thing that you're wanting to achieve, but I think for me the sweet spot was 1/8 of a second. So I've put all the images together so you can compare them. Do you agree with me that 1/8 is the ideal shutter speed, or do you prefer something different? So I've come down some steps to the bottom of the main waterfall, and it looks like I am going to be fairly limited with the access that I've got to the waterfalls lower down because of the fences that are around the waterfall itself. But what I have spotted is in the pool just down here behind me at the bottom of the waterfall, there's some white foam that's been created when the water is churned up, and it's swirling around before it heads off back down the river. So what I've done is I put on my big stopper, which is a 10-stop filter, which allows you to really slow the shutter speed down, and this creates a really interesting effect in the water that's swirling around. Because there's blobs of white foam that has been created, as it swirls around, it creates a really interesting pattern when you slow the shutter speed down to 30 seconds. And so the way that you use this filter is that you take a photograph first of all to get an idea of what the settings are as normal, and then when you put the filter on, there's a little conversion chart that you get, and there's even an app that you can use to work out what the new shutter speed should be with the big stopper on. And so at 30 seconds, this is a really good shutter speed to use because it converts really handily from 1/30th of a second without the stopper to 30 seconds with the stopper. Now, if you are going to be photographing water, one really useful filter to have is a polarising filter. This is really handy because it can help to cut down reflections. What I'll do is I'll put on the screen now a bit of video showing how twisting the polarising filter can completely remove the reflections from this water down here. And not only that, which is distracting in itself, but it allows you to see down into the water, and hopefully the photograph should be able to see the coins that are down underneath the surface of the water that you just wouldn't see without the effect of the polarising filter. Now, this filter as well can be really useful if you're taking photographs of skies on a very blue sky day, because it can make the skies a lot richer and darker and remove haze from skies. So it's useful for that as well. So when you're in this kind of location where there is limited access, then when you start looking around, you see lots of other interesting things that you can photograph. And this cliff face just here has some really interesting textures. So I've taken a shot focusing just on that. Now, I have included a little bit of water in the foreground, but the star of that photograph is the texture in the cliff face. So what I've done in this shot is I've set the lens to its widest, and that has allowed me to include not only the falls here, but more of the valley as well. So it puts them into a little bit more context. Now, it does have the effect of making the falls look quite small, which really is not the case, because as you can see from behind me, they're quite large and quite imposing, but it does give a different point of view, and I quite like it, and I might even end up using it as a thumbnail. Well, that video's been a little bit different. I hope it's given you some ideas of things you can do if you're taking pictures of moving water, or you're in an area where you're limited to a very small space. It's all about being creative and trying to think of something a little bit different. I'm sure there's lots more ideas that I've not thought of. If you do think of any, let me know down below in the comments. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that video, and if you have, do let me know down below in the comments, or nip over to my Instagram account, that's @DeOakton_photography. Leave me your comments there, and you can also see lots of my photographs. Now, if you like what I do on the channel and want to help support me to make future content like this, you can also visit my Teespring store. There I've got a range of merchandise on offer, like the t-shirt that I'm wearing now, so go and check that out. It really helps out the channel, and there's a link for that down below in the description. And don't forget, there's also the super thanks button. But you don't have to spend any money at all to support the channel. You can do that simply by clicking like, subscribe and the bell notifications, because that really helps me out and it makes sure that you don't miss out on any future content. Watch out for next week's video, that goes live on Sunday. In the meantime, go and check out this video just up here. But all that's left now is to say, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.